You've either made me someone that can follow you or someone that can be gay, but how could you have made me both, and what am I supposed to do with it? The church is a really, really difficult place to grow up as a teen if you know you're gay. I'm haunted by many stories of LGBT youth who are Christians who've shared their stories with me, stories of terror, of fear, of a secret life lived behind closed doors. Many of them carry this secret long into their adulthood. Some of them never actually reconcile themselves with it. There's one particular story that keeps me awake at night, most nights in fact, about a young girl who grew up looking like the poster child of Christianity, the perfect Christian kid, except she knew from the age of 13 that she was gay, and she didn't manage to reconcile herself with it until she was 30. That story keeps me awake at night, predominantly because it's my story. I remember one night when I was 13, kneeling down on my bedroom carpet and soaking the carpet with my tears, just sobbing, wanting God to take my life away, saying to God, this is too hard, this burden is too much. You've either made me someone that can follow you or someone that can be gay, but how could you have made me both, and what am I supposed to do with it? That was a night where I genuinely, all I could see was darkness, and I desperately wanted my life to be over. I've always been really keen on keeping a diary, and it's amazing and very sad for me as well to look back at some of these old diaries that I kept when I was in my early teens. They just tell stories of the deep struggle and tension that was going on in me throughout all of those years. The excitement about the future, the excitement about my music taking off, people singing my songs, my first publishing deal when I was 17, contributing to my first gold record in my early 20s. But at the same time having this dark secret that I couldn't tell anyone about, and I didn't tell anyone about. These books tell the story of confessing to a Catholic priest, talking to him about my sexuality for the first time behind closed doors, desperately hoping that when he gave me the absolution that I would suddenly be changed, and I wasn't. These journals have all my scribblings about the time when I went for deliverance ministry, as we would call it in the church, to try and get kind of set free spiritually from being gay, and how embarrassed I was to have to go for that, and how humiliated I was that it didn't work. I reached a real breaking point in 2008. I was 28 and I was living in California at the time and basing my touring out of there. And 2008 was the time when Proposition 8 was setting everybody at war. The mega-churches, the big evangelical mega-churches of California had risen up in unity to stand against same-sex marriage, and somehow, unbeknown to me, I found myself dragged into it. Lots of the people that would book me to come and sing and play suddenly would have these moments in the service where they would rally their congregation, prepping them ready for the vote. And very unwillingly, I found myself almost becoming part of the soundtrack to standing against same-sex marriage in California. I found myself standing there singing and playing, feeling completely torn in two, literally fractured inside, feeling like I had to choose between my faith, the ministry, the career, the community I was in, and who I was inside. And it began to take such a toll on me, I began to feel incredibly ill. I ended up going to a doctor in San Diego and saying to him, I need you to run tests on me, I don't think everything's okay. I wasn't prepared for the answer that I got back when we'd finished all the tests. The doctor set me down and said, I actually have some really bad news for you. He said, you've contracted a really nasty autoimmune condition. You've pushed your body so much that this is actually really, really serious. And he said, to my great surprise, that the treatment I needed was chemotherapy. The autoimmune condition I had is related to quite nebulous causes. There aren't any known physical causes, but having talked with a number of specialists, the number one thing they keep coming back to saying is, I bet you can name a really, really traumatic, stressful issue that's going on inside you or that you've been through. And they just said, I bet something comes to mind, doesn't it? And I said, yes, it does. And they said, well, that's most likely to be the reason why your body's crying out for help. I decided I didn't want to have chemotherapy in America because I was far from home and felt like that conservative Bible Belt culture was actually a major part of the contributing factors of why I was ill. So I decided to come back to the UK and I started the treatment. I really hope that my story somehow and all the countless other stories of the LGBT Christians who are speaking out at the moment can really unify into this one cry that says to young people, you don't have to choose between your faith and your sexuality. You're not alone. Things will get better, and God loves you exactly the way you are.